Hi, my name is Marcus and welcome to Servant King. As I was writing this program called Confusion of Money, it occurred to me that all the confusion programs combined could be called Confusion of Property. I'm hoping that you're starting to understand your confusion of property. But this program is called Confusion of Money. Money leads to property, or property leads to money. I guess we're going to find out here shortly. So, if this program was called How to Make Money, you'd probably be really interested in this program, but it's not. This is just confusion of money. Money, money, money. Show me the money. I love money. I want to have lots of money. Look, I'm successful. I have lots of money. He must be very smart because he has lots of money. What did he do to make all his money? But here's the thing. Money has no value without property. If you cannot redeem money for property, what good is money? Money only represents to your mind property. It is an image of property, a representative of property. Do you really want money or do you really want property? So we're back to property again. If you exchange or trade with someone your property, there is no need for money. We are all taught to follow the money. We can learn things by following the money. In fact, it is the evidence of property. If we follow the money, maybe we can find the property. If we can find the property, maybe we can find some liberty, some freedom. If you ask anyone if they love money, they will always say, no, I don't love money, but I just need it to live. I don't know if that's true. I think everything you've done in your life has been money related. Almost everything you've ever done is related to money. It may not be done for the love of money, but love, you see, is probably the strongest emotion that you have that makes you do or not do something. If everything you do, or almost everything you do, is related to money, you must be doing it for the love of money. The opposite extreme would be to hate something. To really hate something will usually make you do or not do something also. From the time you were born and started to grow, you wanted money. Someone told you you need it. You cannot get anything without money. And they told you the truth. What you were not told is you do not own anything. You own no property. Did a teacher or a pastor or your parents ever tell you that you need a good education so that you can get a good job and make lots of money so that you can get lots of things because you do not own anything? No, because they don't know that. Did any of these great educators or mentors ever tell you that when you get lots of money, you can get lots of neat stuff that you will never be able to own because you have no way to pay for them? No, because they don't know those things either. Did any of these great educators or mentors ever tell you that you need a good education so that you will never see how you are stolen from every day of your life? Of course not. Why would an educator teach you something they don't know? They say money doesn't grow on trees. Apples grow on trees. Maybe I will use some of my money to buy some apples. But if I owned the apple tree, I could just pick apples. I wouldn't need money. If you see a truck on the highway spill some crates with apples onto the road, everyone just drives over them and squishes them. If an armored truck spilled crates of money all over the road, people would stop and fight and bite each other in the arms to get as much as they could. They would act like ravenous animals. Nothing polite or civil about what you would witness in that case. Tell me again you don't love money. You are obsessed with it. Almost everything you've done is money related. When I was little, I was very happy when I got my money for my birthday. I was happy when I got my first piggy bank. I got a paper route and I made my own money. I remember when I got my first bank account. Now I'm somebody. Then I went to school to be smart so I can grow up and get a good job and make lots of money. The higher my grades, the better job I can get and more money. The longer I stay in school, better education, more money. Maybe I should marry someone who has lots of money. Or someone who has the education to make lots of money. Maybe we can put the children in daycare so we can have 2 incomes because we want to have lots of money. Let's get an extra job and work all the time except when we sleep so we can have lots of money. Let's cheat on this exam so I can get better grades, which will lead to more money. Let's steal money if no one is looking because I want some money. Let's build a vault out of steel and cement because I want my money to be safe and everybody wants my money. Maybe I should kill my wife, not because she needs killing, but I can get the insurance money. Let's lie about what this thing really is so that the buyer will give me more money. I better put my seatbelt on because I don't want to lose any of my money. Let's buy insurance because if I cause hurt or injury to someone, someone else will pay for me and I can keep more of my money. Hey, let's buy a lottery ticket and gamble so I can get more money. Everybody thinks I'm really smart. Well, listen to me because I have lots of money. I will sell my body to disgusted, vile strangers because I really need some money. I cannot live without money. You see, I do not own an apple tree. If you give me enough money, I will kill them for you. Look at all those poor, starving people over there. We should send them some money. Excuse me. Have you ever heard of drug-related murders? Oh, it's related to drugs, but the murder was done for the love of money. It's really a money-related murder. You will find that almost all crime is money-related. Nothing else. In fact, the penalty for a lot of crimes requires you to forfeit some of your money. A fine. The crime and the penalty are both money-related. People obey the law because of their love of money. If you never had any money, would a fine seem like a penalty? Wouldn't bother me at all. Couldn't care less. I lost my job, now I go bankrupt. I can't take this anymore, so I commit suicide. This guy cannot live without money. Tell me again how you do not love money, when almost everything you've ever done is because of your love of money. I have to speed to work on these icy roads, even though it may kill me, or I will be late and lose my job. And what will I do for money? Now there's the first good question. What will I do for money? You will do just about anything for money. What will I do for money? There's a reason why you were not taught money, or law, or healthcare, or anything that is a licensed monopoly. Money is a licensed monopoly. You see, you have a government-approved education. Your education is designed to keep you dependent upon society, upon your family. Your education is to train you for society as a human resource, as a trustee of someone's property. What could be more fundamental in any education than learning the necessities of life? To produce food, clothing, and shelter. How many of you can provide and produce your own food, clothing, and shelter? See, you're a dependent. Doesn't matter how big you are. You're still a child. You're a dependent of the state. The law professor I quoted on the dissemblers page said that you know least about the thing that affects you most. The law. Can you defend yourself in court? No. You are legally incompetent. Why would you even get involved in a system of law that you don't understand? You can't defend yourself. I would withdraw from that. You see, all the most vital, essential things of an education have been monopolized. Why? Because whoever is licensed to do them will make lots of money. Why? Because everyone needs them. They are vital and essential. Learning these licensed monopolies would interfere with the lawyers' and the doctors' livelihoods. Their monopoly, their money. What would those people do for money if they couldn't have their licensed monopoly? Learning what money is would interfere with the banker's monopoly on usury, making money from your debts. And learning what money is would reveal you own no property, and it's that simple. If almost everything you've ever done in life is money related or done for money, how could you claim to have an education when there was no subject in school called money? And if, as this law professor says, you know least about the thing that affects you most, how could you claim to have an education if you've not been taught the law? You see, your education system is designed to keep you ensnared as a dependent and incompetent who believes he is the smartest guy in the world. And you have the diplomas and degrees hanging on your wall to prove it. Meanwhile, you are being stolen from, swindled every day of your life, and you love it. You relish it. And will defend it and even die for it if need be. So let's start with money. What is money and what is its purpose? In Roman mythology, moneta was a title given to two separate goddesses. The goddess of memory. The name of the god Juno Moneta is a source of numerous words in English and the Romance languages, including the word money. So money was memory of a debt. That's what money is. You owe me something, here's the memory of what you owe me. The epithet moneta given to Juno more likely derives from the Greek word moneres, means alone or unique, one. One. So money is one. Mon, one-o. Mono, soul. Okay? Juno Moneta, an epithet of Juno, was the protectress of funds. As such, money in ancient Rome was coined in her temple. The word moneta is where we get the words money or monetize. In several modern languages, including Russian and Italian, moneta is the word for coin. So coin. Now a coin has two sides, a head and a tail. I can tell you that the head side is your birthright. Each one of you has a birthright. It's on the head side, which you abandoned when you were torn. So are you the head or the tail? Well, all depends who owns the property. Sorry, you are always the tail because you were torn. Always the tail. A coin is any stamped metal, any piece of metal, usually gold, silver, or copper, stamped by authority. Here is the example of a 1. So in the US it's public authority, in Canada it's Queen's authority, and is used as a medium of commerce. So it's stamped by 1. This 1 is the authority. So gold, silver, and copper are not money. No. It's the stamp of authority on those things that make the gold money. Okay, so don't think you ever owned gold or silver or anything either if you were torn. People who think they lost their property rights when they went to fiat paper money from the gold standard, no. There was a reason for that, but it had nothing to do with property. It has to do with a different kind of property. So money is the representative of commodities of all kinds, of everything that's capable of being transferred in commerce. It is a token of property. It's a counterfeit of property. And it must be able to have different size units of accounts or denominations. It must be fungible, which means equal to units of the same kind. Otherwise, you would have unjust weights and measures. Okay? It has to be fair trades of value. How is money used? It's a middle thing during a trade. It is a deferred payment or a deferred trade. When the payment's done, the trade is finalized. So money works by faith or confidence. Faith and money have the same definition. Here's the definition of faith, and here's the definition of money. Faith. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Money. Now money is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Both are a faith game. Money is any object or record that is generally accepted as payment for goods and services and repayment of debts in a given thing, country or family. The main functions of money are distinguished as a medium of exchange, a middle thing during an exchange, a unit of account, a store of value, and occasionally in the past, a standard of deferred payment. Any kind of object or secure verifiable record that fulfills these functions can serve as money. So money is no longer used as a deferred payment. It used to be a deferred payment. So if there's no deferred payment, there's no deferred trade of property, is there? And we're going to learn how that works. This is part of the swindle. Something the swindler needs. Money originated as commodity money, but nearly all contemporary money systems are based on fiat money. Fiat money is without intrinsic value, means use value, as a physical commodity and derives its value by being declared by a government to be legal tender. That is, it must be accepted. So legal tender is not based on faith or confidence. No, no, no. It must be accepted. It's a decree, it's an order, it's an authority. As a form of payment within the boundaries of the country for all debts, public and private. Now, commodity money, people think gold and silver is commodity money. Well, yes and no. Look, what are you going to do with gold? Melt it, make rings, jewelry out of it, adorn your body so you look beautiful, use it as a paperweight so the papers don't blow off your desk. What else can you do? Gold, fill a cavity in your tooth, I guess. Throw it at someone that you hate so you can give them a good noggin on the head with it. But basically it's just something heavy in your pocket. I mean, God must be laughing his ass off at us going, look at all the gold the guy's got in his pocket, he can barely even move. But if you use something like wheat, or corn, or chickens, or whatever as money, that would be a commodity money. That would have some sort of intrinsic value beyond whatever, okay? So gold and silver is not a good commodity money. The purpose of money is to serve you in deferring a lawful trade of property. So money becomes something you can use as a convenience to do a lawful trade. If you own no property, you must be doing someone else's trade, right? Money serves a purpose for you. You do not serve a purpose for money unless you own no property. Money should be your servant, not your master. Here's a saying. It says, he that is of the opinion money will do everything may well be suspected of doing everything for money. If you think that money is the root of all evil, why? In this world we live in, why is the lack of money the root of all evil? You got no money. You have a misfortune. That's evil. Evil is a misfortune. A misfortune is evil. Have you ever asked what is the root of all money? I think that question is more important. So the root of all money takes us back to who owns the property. Are all the evils I listed at the beginning caused by the lack of money or the lack of owning property? Well, I'm here to tell you, beyond any doubt, that that's exactly what it is. It is the lack of property that is the root of all evil, not money, but it's related to it. So if you do not own property, you own no property, what is money? And if you did own property, what is money? All of a sudden, money takes on a totally different thing. Okay? Remember? Counterfeit, upside down, right? Backwards. So, if you own no property, if you do not own any property, you can never issue money. Because there's nothing to redeem the money into. If you do not own property, if you do own property, you can issue money. So if you own no property, you can't issue money. If you do own property, you can issue money. You can be a bank. Sure, you can be your own banker. If you own no property, you can never own a debt. You can have a debt, but you can't own a debt. It's not your debt. If you do own property, you can own a debt. Remember, property, responsibility. Maybe most people don't want any responsibility. They want limited liability. They want to be incompetent, someone to care for them. In fact, if you owned property, the more money you issue, the poorer you become. You understand that? If you still think you own something, the money will prove that you do not. Money is the evidence of who owns property. Look at the image and superscription on your money, on the money. Whosoever's image and superscription is on it has made a promise to pay. It is their debt, not yours. Okay? We are tricked We are tricked into assuming and undertaking debts which we do not own. We only assumed a debt for the right to have and hold some property. You own nothing. You have been swindled. If you own nothing, how can you buy or sell anything? If you own nothing, what do you own to contract with? Are you contracting with someone else's property? Are you buying and selling someone else's property? The answer is yes. And that is why you have to get a receipt and count to the owner for all your transactions. Are you eating someone else's food? Are you living on someone else's land? Are you raising someone else's children? Are you sleeping with someone else's wife? You own nothing. You've been swindled. If you think I'm going to explain the financial system and how it works, I will not. First, because I don't know how it all works. Second, because I don't care how it all works. I'm only going to tell you what's important about the confusion of money. Just as our legal system is unlawful, so is our financial system. The financial system is based on law. Our legal and financial systems are legal but highly unlawful. If you remember, law has to do with what is right and wrong. Legal ignores what is right and wrong. By the time you grasp what I'm going to show you in the Unravel programs, you will be able to clearly see how your whole legal and financial system requires stealing, fraud, and unjust enrichment. Stealing, fraud, and unjust enrichment. Money in itself is not a bad thing, but there are laws governing money and what you can do with money. When money is used to defer a trade, the law has not yet been fulfilled. When the money is redeemed, the law is fulfilled. When the money vanishes, the law is fulfilled. Money can only be used as a convenient way to accomplish something lawfully. The biggest prohibition on money is you are not allowed to profit from money. Obtaining gain or benefiting from a debt is unlawful. To benefit or obtain any gain from someone's debt is called usury. This is obtaining gain and profit from something that is unlawful. In other words, the longer someone is in debt, the bigger their debt grows based on usury. This is money breeding money. Charging a poor man more than you lent him only makes him poorer. It is a penalty for being poor. It is a discrimination against the poor. This is very evil and exactly what banking is all about. So is it the love of money, or is it the love of usury that is the root of all evil? Currently, you think that money is a storage of wealth. That is true if you do not own anything. But your storage of wealth is always the storage of someone else's debt, because money is always a debt. The more money you have, the more someone else has. The more money you have, the more debt someone else has, or money has no value. Today we use credit as money. I can tell you that money has always been credit. Some people are amazed when they learn that we use debt as money. I can tell you that money has always been a debt. Money is always a credit or a debt. Whose credit and whose debt depends on who owns the property. The reason that people do not understand money is because they do not know they own no property. And this is what makes the lie. See, it's not even a fraud. It's an outright blatant lie that makes this whole thing so evil. What adds to the confusion of money, of course, is the confusion of property. Some of your property was lost during the initial swindle, your inheritance. These are the natural material things of the world that you need to sustain your life. The second loss of your property is an ongoing swindle through labor. This is your property that turns your inheritance into wealth. It is your labor that turns the material things of the world into wealth. The deceiver needs your life. The deceiver needs your life, your property. Not your civil life, but your real life. Here, have a civil life while I'm stealing your real life. It is your life that makes labor possible. It is labor that produces wealth from the materials. The deceiver is not your maker, so we have to make you believe he is, a confusion of being. Every time you give your labor, your property, to your adopted maker, you are giving it in person, by and through a fictional son, and you are receiving no property in return. You only receive a credit in person which you can exchange to have and hold some personal property. This is an ongoing fraud and swindle to obtain your real property unlawfully, and we voluntarily accept it. Our whole justice and financial system is based on fraud. And exposing the fraud makes it all unlawful. So how is money supposed to work? How is it supposed to serve you if you owned your own property? You won't, or don't know this yet because you've never owned any property. So we have three people here, Justin, Bob, and Fred. They each own their own property. Justin has chickens, Bob has bananas, and Fred has picnic tables. They each own their own property because the chickens, the bananas, and the trees are their inheritance. You do not pay for your inheritance. It is free, and you obtain it by promise. The promise can be enforced by law. Now the labor to feed and care for the chickens, and the labor of climbing trees and harvesting bananas, and the labor of cutting down trees and constructing picnic tables belongs to each man. So each fellow has complete title of his property. Two types of property. Now, Justin needs a picnic table. If he just took one from Fred, that would be stealing. So Justin says to Fred, I will trade you 4 chickens for one of your picnic tables. That's called an offer. Justin has made Fred an offer. Fred accepts the offer, and they have a contract. They execute the contract by exchanging the property, and the law is fulfilled. The contract is killed, it's executed, it's finished, no more contract. This process is called commerce, a trade of property. If you own property, you regulate commerce, your own commerce. If you do not own property, the property owner regulates the commerce, the trade of property. Now let's say Justin asks Fred if he will trade 4 chickens for a picnic table. Fred tells Justin he does not eat chicken. He hates chickens. But Justin really needs a picnic table. So Fred agrees to accept an IOU from Justin for 4 chickens. He accepts the money. So Fred has faith and trust and belief in Justin, and thereby gives Justin credit. Fred is going to give Justin credit, the owner of the property. And gives Justin credit. Credit means to believe upon the testimony of another. So Justin reciprocates by giving Fred a bill for the credit, a bill of credit, for the credit that Fred just gave to Justin, a memory of the debt. Okay? So who gave the credit? The property owner. Who gave the bill of credit? The one who was trusted. You see, everything is exactly backwards from what you believe today because you own no property. Fred gave the money credit, which is what we use as money. Fred gave Justin the picnic tables, and Fred gave Justin the money, the credit. Now Justin gives Fred a bill of credit, and Fred gives Justin a bill of sale to prove he didn't steal it. Now, when you do not own property, everything changes. Everything's backwards, upside down. Now Fred and Justin are just agents dealing in someone else's property. Now the credit comes from the real owner. And they exchange credits of the owner. And they give a bill of credit with the owner's image on it. And a bill of sale for the owner, which is really a bill of transfer. Why? Because ownership has not changed hands. The owner still owns it all. Only transfer of the actual property, possession of it. So nothing has been bought or sold, only a charge and a discharge to transfer someone else's property. And once a year you have to account for all these transactions to the owner. And at the end of the year, the owner still owns everything. It's just a monopoly game. Monopoly means one owner. Okay? Getting back to the trading, if you own the property, if you do own property. Now, based on the trade I just told you about, only part of the trade is completed. The rest is deferred. This creates an obligation for Justin to fulfill later. Okay? Because he actually gave a bill of credit, issued a bill of credit, money. A medium is used. Need to have a record for the medium. This is money. A memory or evidence of the debt. So now Fred goes over to Bob and asks for bananas. So Fred asks Bob for some bananas. Bob asks Fred, well, what do you have to trade? Fred tells him picnic tables. But Bob never goes on a picnic. So Fred says, well, I have an IOU from Justin for 4 chickens. Now Bob loves chickens. So Fred signs the back of the IOU and gives it to Bob. And Fred gets his bananas. Later, Bob goes over to see Justin and says, those 4 chickens that you owed Fred? Well, I now have that promise to pay. I'm holding your promise to pay, and I would like to redeem it into chickens. Bob gets the 4 chickens, and Justin gets back the IOU, which was his obligation, which is now fulfilled and destroyed. That was his debt. Okay, it's more than an obligation, it's a debt. When he gets the IOU back, he destroys it. The credit is gone. The money vanishes. People who cannot understand how money is created out of thin air and vanishes into thin air, I've just given you the answer. People who cannot understand this have a confusion of money because of their confusion of property. They don't know that they don't own any property. They believe they do, but they don't. Money in circulation does not pay debts. No. When money pays a debt, it vanishes. Remember that. Now the question arises, why can Justin, Bob, and Fred issue money? The answer is because they own property. When is the last time you issued money? Never. Because you practiced the worst crime known to mankind called treason. Attornment. The penalty for treason is loss of inheritance. That occurred during the attornment. In fact, if you owned property, you would keep issuing money to a minimum, and you would do it only as a convenience in trade, only a convenient way to do a trade. The more money you issue, the poorer you become, because you will have to give up property to redeem the money at some point in the future to fulfill the law. I've seen a video put out called Money as Debt. And I've heard people say, did you know we monetize debt and use it as money? Yeah. Of course, this comes as a huge revelation to most people because they have purposely never been taught anything about money, except that you should do everything humanly possible to get as much as you can. Now, here's another bombshell. If money is always a debt, and money can only be issued by one who owns property, and if you own no property, how can you ever own a debt? It's impossible. You can never own a debt. Now that's a good question, don't you think? Well, I'll explain it shortly. Money is always a debt. It cannot be otherwise. Every time Justin, Bob, or Fred issue some money, they have lost control over some of their property. Justin, Bob, and Fred become debtors, and whoever has accepted the money or their promise to pay is the creditor. The one who accepted the money is the one who gave the faith, belief, and trust, the credit, to the debtor. In other words, the one who accepted the money created the money. Money works exactly opposite to what people believe or know. Now, that is how it works if you are working, providing your labor, your property. But if you go into a bank to obtain credit before you work, to obtain something you've not yet earned, now it's exactly backwards again. This is called living beyond your means. This is what our whole society is about. Why wait 10 years to save up enough money to buy a house or buy a car? Get it now. Get it now. Let me charge you on your debt, your usury. Right? Enjoy it now, pay for it later. You end up paying 3 times, or you end up giving 3 times the amount of your property in exchange for having something before you should have lawfully had it. And this is the penalty you're paying for it. So you're going to pay for it 3 times by your labor because you wanted it before you could lawfully have it. But this is what makes your loss of inheritance extremely evil. People have to do this because they've done an atonement. They've lost their inheritance to property. It's a no-win situation, and this is what makes this whole thing extremely, extremely evil. So how does money work today as you know it? Now this is going to either make you laugh or make you cry, but either way it's pretty funny. I think it's funny anyways. In its most basic sense, money is a medium, which by and through we exchange something of value, some goods or services. 2 entities are trading or exchanging something, and neither one is you. Now that's funny. A confusion of being, because you have a confusion of being. It's a trick. It's awful. All this stuff's awful. Both are fictions, and you are a third party who is trespassing. We call that an agent or a trustee. Money is a temporary thing. When the exchange is done, the money is gone. It vanishes. But I do not own any property, so whose services, goods and services am I exchanging? If you're starting to grasp and understand how the trick is done and the illusion that you think is real, you will know the answer. Our money continually circulates within society because no trade of ownership of property is ever done. Ownership never changes hands. If the money you used paid for the thing you obtained, the money would vanish. We cannot pay for anything because we own no property, except the property, your labor, which you're giving away freely. The money we use is only legal tender or an offer, which must be legally accepted, thereby transferring the right in the property to another. The owner still owns it all. The owner never loses anything. There are only 2 ways to own property, by inheritance and by labor. One is free, the other you work for. There is no inheritance of property ownership in any country on earth. I'm going to say that again. There is no inheritance of property ownership in any country on earth. It is not possible if you practice the occult. What you think of as an inheritance is a right to have and hold property, not a right to own property. Look at your country's constitution. There is no right to own property in it. Now, your labor can be exchanged for property. That is a property exchange. But when you exchange it voluntarily, buying through a medium, a dead thing, a similitude, buying through the Son of Canada in person, this is not your labor. It is the labor of the Son, a fictional being. A son is a member of the public. Your labor is now public. It belongs to and concerns the whole. It belongs to and concerns the one. You voluntarily made it public. It is now in the public domain. Your labor has been converted into money by acting as the Son who was created in the image of Canada or the Queen. The money is the proof that you acted, worked, and labored in her name. Money is anything stamped by her authority, or in the U.S., public authority. You have voluntarily transferred your labor property into public authority. This is how your property is stolen. First, you are tricked and deceived into abandoning your inheritance by becoming what you are not and believing you are. Then you are tricked into transferring your labor, buying through a medium that is dead, a fiction, which you believe you are. You claim to be through your created permanent identification. That is a confusion of face. Remember, a job is to transact public business dishonestly for private gain, to hold public property privately, to transact public business dishonestly for private gain. What do you gain? Nothing. You only get to have and to hold that which is public. Even when you can see and understand this, there's something that keeps everyone captive, something that keeps you from leaving, abandoning, and departing from the one. And that is your education, your training, your indoctrination. You know no other way. You have become dependent. You are a dependent, a child of the state, a ward of the state. You think you know a lot of things. I'm well educated. In fact, you've only been trained to fulfill one function as a part of the one society. You need to be part of the one because you need all the other parts to survive. You need a lawyer, a doctor, electricity, a banker, a teacher, a farmer. Did you ever think you need money because you are incompetent? I will do the one thing I know for money, and I will pay others for all the things I do not know. Money becomes for you the omnipotent power. Or do you need money because you do not own anything? So now you just admitted you know only one thing, but you are very well educated. 99% of you wouldn't know how to feed, clothe, or shelter yourself, just basic necessities. Did you get just a basic education of the necessities of life? No, you are extremely well educated. We need you to remain as a dependent because you are the human resource needed to give life to the dead. The trick cannot work otherwise. It would have no value. You are taught that money is the medium of exchange for goods and services. No, 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 no. It is if you own property, but when you own no property, no, 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 no. For the community does not exist on a fictitious value of money, but on the results of productive labor, which is what gives money its value. You are the medium of exchange. Without you, there is no value. Money has no value until you give it the value. Money has to pass through the medium. Money has to pass through the medium to obtain its value. Government only takes in revenue, after it's gone through the value, after it's been given value. Why does government not just print up money and spend it? Because it has no value yet. It is the value that replaces the credit. The value destroys the credit. Now, they can print up money and spend it, but it has to go through a different process now. So in reality, you are paying by giving the money value with your property, your labor. But you do not get to own what you paid for. A debt discharged is not a debt paid. Remember, when you pay the debt, the money vanishes. So, here's an actual wording from a court case, a learned judge. And he explained the difference between a debt paid and a debt discharged. In the case of Stanek versus White in Minnesota, whatever, blah, 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 numbers, the court explained the legal distinction between the words payment and discharge. Doesn't mean there's a lawful distinction, it's a legal distinction. There is a distinction between a debt discharged and a debt paid. When discharged, the debt still exists, though divested of its character as a legal obligation during the operation of the discharge. Something of the original vitality of the debt continues to exist, which may be transferred, even though the transferee, the one who's taking it, takes it subject to its disability incident to the discharge. The fact that it carries something which may be a consideration for a new promise to pay so as to make an otherwise worthless promise, a legal obligation, makes it the subject of transfer by assignment. This is like passing the hot potato around, right? It's your debt, my debt, your debt, your debt. But we're paying for everything in debts. So let's look at it again based on charge and discharge, how money works. A guy named Bob works for a whole week for a corporation named General Motors. Both are persons. At the end of the week, GM says, I don't have any money to pay you. Why? Because GM does not own anything either. Only an owner can give credit. Will you accept this bill of credit from the owner? You say yes because you are confident that you can use this bill to get what you want. And you can exchange it for anything in the owner's kingdom. Remember, within the boundaries of the family. Now, Bob, you gave GM your labor, which is your property, and you gave GM your credit. And what did GM give you? A bill of credit. But the bill of credit comes from GM's owner. See, the one owns General Motors and also owns Bob. They're all persons. You are now holding a bill from the owner. In the case of Canada, that is Her Majesty the Queen. Call it the crown, you know, the metal ring she wears on her head. Her image is on the bill. So you're holding her bill of credit. Well, why don't you charge interest on the outstanding bill? It's her debt. What else can happen to usury? All of a sudden there's no usury here? Why is there no usury on her debt? After all, the bank charges you usury, interest when they hold your bill, when they hold your promise to pay. Well, here's the answer. Because it's a non-interest bearing promissory note, legally. Because the owner is the crown. It's a fiction. It is a material effigy which you serve. It cannot give value to anything. Wake up. Do you know what a crown is? This one woman cannot have all the debts. This one woman in England cannot have all the debts here in Canada. And she can't work off all those debts. It's impossible. Yet she owns everything. No, she doesn't. When she dies, the crown isn't gone. It's the crown that owns everything. And the crown is a material effigy of something. It's a metal ring. All land is crown land. This metal ring owns everything in Canada. Not her. She assumes the crown. She's not the crown, believe me. So, you gave property you owned and you only got to hold something in return. This is called a chosen action. You are only the holder in due course of a legal tender to discharge your liability. It is a constant giving of property from you and a constant taking of your property, given in return only a promise to discharge your obligation. It is not a promise to pay for you. So, money is the evidence of things not seen. Remember, definition? So Bob gave GM credit and his property. GM now gives Bob a bill for the credit. Bob now has the evidence of things not seen. He can exchange this bill for the substance he hoped for. But GM gave Bob a bill of credit from GM's owner. The bill which the owner owes the bill which the owner owes can be exchanged for any other bill you get from the same owner. When you get your gas bill for $100, you can exchange it for your $100 bill of credit for the gas bill, and your liability is back to zero. Your debits and your credits. Okay? So all this just balancing back to zero. This is called the Bills of Exchange Act. It's one of the acts here. You did not pay the gas bill. You only discharged it because you own no property. You transferred the owner's liability to the gas company. The gas company will exchange it for another liability and it continues to circulate. You see, when you get a bill from the gas company, you're getting a bill from the Queen again. And the bill that you got from General Motors to exchange that bill also came from the Queen. Everything is owned by the one. The owner owns Bob, General Motors, and the gas company. This is not a payment, but a remittance. Send it back, zero. Give you some credit, send some credit back to zero. The owner does not buy or sell anything. He still owns everything. Are you starting to understand the importance of owning property? The man named Bob has not paid for anything, but he has discharged a personal liability in person. In fact, he has also voluntarily gave his property, his labor, by and through his person. This is fraud, this is stealing, and this is unjust enrichment. The reason it's fraud is because people don't know they're doing this. They're giving up their property voluntarily to the one, constantly, and getting no property in return. You do not own the legal rights to this person, so you have to pay a tax, a rent, or a charge for using it. These are called withholdings. You who speaks, acts, and thinks for it gets the commission or disposable income that is left. What a neat way to steal from you, all because you are confused as to who you are. Confusion of being. How are you going to get the value out of your owner's debt, your queen's debt? Well, when you exchange it. And she made a law called legal tender. This is a legal offer and you must accept it. You must accept it if it's offered. Does she make, manufacture, or produce anything? No. She doesn't do anything but serve you by ruling over you. I don't know if you realize that's what you did during your atonement, but you want her to rule over you. You be my God. Does she protect you in exchange for your allegiance? No. She doesn't do anything. She gives you a gun and commands you to fight. If you don't fight, she'll kill you. So who protects or defends you? Who does the work so that you can redeem your debt? Or so that you can redeem her debt? You do. There's nobody here but his people. Remember a few programs ago I said you may not understand exactly what that means, and oh, everybody knows there's nobody here but his people. Well, so in essence, when you hold money, someone is in debt. The more money you have, the harder someone else in your society has to work to pay off that debt. Now, is that a nice thing to do to each other? Is that doing unto your others as you would have them do unto you? If people realize this one fact, the 1% of your society who holds 99% of your wealth would have nothing to redeem their money into. They would lose their fortune overnight. Money is a faith game, and the deceivers have your faith. This is the reason for jobs, jobs, jobs. You think your job is for your welfare? Not really. It is for the rich to redeem your debt. Your debt too, but they're holding most of the debt. Someone has to do the work. You will only realize the debt you are holding if someone else in your society will accept the debt. The 1% of the people have 99% of your debt. Okay? These people you think are really rich. It's only about 1% of them. They're holding your debt. It's your debt. They are holding the debt of the 99% who have 1% of the debt. You're only holding 1% of the debt. So that's all you can exchange. 1% amongst 99%. And anyways, you get the other way around. So yes, boys and girls, the debt that the 1% holds is your debt. If the 99%, which is the majority of people, will no longer accept Her Majesty's debt, or in the United States, public debt, from the 1%, Her Majesty will have to get off her butt and start working. It is Her Majesty's debt, not your debt. If you own nothing, you are a beggar who is willing to assume and undertake Her Majesty's debt for a commission. And then you are told what you can or cannot do with it. This gets even worse. Wait. Now, the rich put their money out to work for them. That's usury. That's legal. But it's one of the most unlawful things in the world. They are using your debt to create for you more debt. and that is legal. This is stealing, a fraud, and unjust enrichment, and unlawful. This is more evil than even lending a poor man something with usury. I cannot say this loud enough. This is more evil than even lending a poor man something with usury. Usury is a penalty for being poor. The more money they make on their money, the more debt the 1% holds. Let me say that again. The more money the rich make on their money, the more debt the 1% holds. And you get to work even harder. The more money there is, the less its value. Your labor is being decreased in value, and the rich people's money is expanded through your debt. Wake up, wake up. Extremely important. Now those who control, you may want to play this back again carefully and listen carefully to that. Those who control the monetary system, the money, control the value of the natural world and your labor through the representative of it, which is money. The monetary system can increase the value and decrease the value at will. These are now called central banks, or your family bank. Right? We're all one big happy family after all. The harder you work, the more it gets turned down to keep you working, or the rich will have nothing to redeem their money for. If you have too much money, you will stop working. If everyone has lots of money, nothing gets done or produced. When all of this falls into place for you and you can see it, you will be transformed in the blink of an eye in your mind. You heard of the stimulus package giving everybody, every family $1,000? Yeah, it's to keep. Why not give everyone $1 million? If $1,000 is good, give everyone $1 million. If everybody had money, too much money, $1 million, everyone stops working. Nobody can redeem anything for anything. So you see, it's not the money, it's the labor. It's the material wealth, the inheritance, and the labor, turning your inheritance into wealth, which is called increase, not money. You think you want a job because you don't know any other way of life. You think that the government wants a job for you for your welfare. They want a job for you so that they have something to redeem the debt that you are holding. Otherwise it is worthless. Banknotes are good for about 2 minutes heat in the fireplace or wiping your rear end. That's it. It's all paper money's good for, intrinsic value. If you think laws and insurance and all sorts of other things are passed for the public good or the public safety, you need your head examined. Public safety, sustainable development, and it's for your own good, are all damn lies. They are sold to you. They appear right. You believe them, but they are all designed to prevent you from getting out of your self-imposed slavery. If you think banking was designed to protect your wealth and give you a convenience in your business, you need your head examined again. First, you have no business. You have no private business. You have a franchise and an office. You own nothing. All you can do is run other people's business, or here in Canada, the Queen's business. Second, banking is to keep track of her business, which you run and have to account for everything. What do you think an audit is? You ever been audited? Right down to your socks and pizza you bought to eat. Right down to every little penny and right down to every asset. Okay? Things that you think you own is not property. Everything you think you own is only an asset. It is only as set with you as a trustee in a fiduciary trusting relationship. You are only an equitable holder of things as a trustee, not an owner of anything. You have not only abandoned your own birthright, but you have destroyed your children's birthright when you registered their birth. You sealed their fate when you applied for a birth certificate. But remember, this is all fraud. There is a way out. There is a better life. There is a real life. In the last video of the confusion programs, we will look at the other concept that led to my discoveries. This concept of God, as it is used in law, in constitutional documents on money, see God on money, and in our societies. Till then, my name is Marcus.